back to another episode of Nope, Still Not Famous. I'm sure a bunch of you out there who watch my videos are already musicians and know the difference between being solo and being a part of a band. But I wanted to take this time and tell you about my experience with both, which I prefer, and some of the pros and cons that I've found over the years. In an earlier video, I told you guys that I've been a part of a band called Avid since 2012. Now since then, because of many problems that I already discussed, we have dissolved. I'm still friends with all of them, I still talk to them, and I still play with a few of them, you know, jam out, have a couple acoustic shows every once in a while. I was in that band from 2012 to definitely around 2018. I think that was our last full band performance. We had a CD release show in 2015. It kind of flopped, and I was the only original founding member. I think that's when I really decided, like, this project really isn't going anywhere anymore. It's not what it used to be. The integrity isn't there. So we still played a couple shows, had some rotating members here and there, but 2018 was when it really officially dissolved. None of us were all feeling it anymore. It just became a lot of work. We had a ton of ups and downs in that band, and I learned so much. It was the best experience of my life. I'm so glad that I started that band. It was so much fun. I mean, we played so many shows. Every weekend we were playing a show. We were at the peak of our performance, probably right before the CD release show happened in 2015. We had the best band members, we were writing the best songs, and we were in a really good flow. We would look out in the audience and everyone was just singing our lyrics from Avid the album, and that was such a great experience, and I had so much fun with this band. It was like hanging out with my best friends, and that's what a band should be. You don't want it to feel like a job coming to band practice every week. You don't want it to feel like, oh, I gotta do this again. No, they're supposed to be there for you, and you're supposed to have a good connection. You guys should communicate really well. And we had so much fun creating the music together. We made the designs, we had photo shoots, all the ideas were all four of us, you know, like we were in it together. We were going to make it to the top and nothing could stop Avid. The bond you have as bandmates is something that non-musicians don't really understand. Being a musician means you have to be creative and you're pouring your whole heart into the instrument you're playing or the song you're writing, the lyrics you're putting down on paper, and you create such a bond. It's so personal, and these people that you surround yourself every week and play shows with and learn music together, write music together, they're supposed to be your support system. And that is truly what I felt with Avid for a long time, and it was amazing. You're this little family unit and you truly believe that you can make it to the top, and you make money while you're doing it. Maybe not a ton on local shows or merchandise, but there's that dream. There's the top of what you're trying to do. Make this your full-time job. And as a band, you guys kind of all understand that, and you're working together and you're gonna do this. And it's really great because you get to split the cost between all bandmates. I had 4 bandmates, and then you got to get more people coming to your shows. It's not just you selling, it's 3 other people who are selling to their parents and their friends and their significant others. And you really got to pack the crowd with people who truly supported you. Because you're 4 different people, you also have the ability to network and make other opportunities. You get to meet other bands and friends, record labels and artist management. We all totally believed in Avid, and we were a family for a good amount of years. Once we found the perfect fit of 4, there was nothing that could stop us. Unfortunately, there cannot be a pros list without a cons list, and there were a little bit more cons than pros. I know the idea of splitting everything 50-50 or 25-25-25-25 sounds amazing, but what happens when your guitarist loses their job? Or you just started your career and you're making a lot more money? So yeah, the idea is to split everything right down the middle, but there's always that thing in someone's mind that thinks, like, why should I have to pay an equal share? I don't have a job, or I don't have as good of a job. So that was really hard. In the end, for the CD release show, the bassist and I actually had to split the whole thing, just the 2 of us, and that was sucky, but it really opened my eyes to, well, not everything's going to be equal, not everything's going to be fair, because not everyone thinks like I do, maybe. I already mentioned that I was the designated band leader. I've always been. I'm not a diva, I'm not a jerk. Sometimes I can get a little snippy when we're not all focused, but there has to be someone who everyone recognizes as the leader of the group. It doesn't mean you have to rule the bandmates with an iron fist. It's just someone to keep you on track with practice. Make the original set list that you guys can build off of or switch around for the next show. It's the person who stops during a song and says, that doesn't sound right, let's fix it, let's just keep running it. And I was always the band leader, and for a while that was great, and people really appreciated that I took that role, but some other people didn't, especially jealous girlfriends of the bandmates thought that I was too much of a leader, and it really made things difficult. It made things awkward. Someone has to call the shots, and sometimes it gets annoying, but if you're the only person who's willing to take that position, you gotta take the backlash sometimes. One of the hardest things about having a band is planning things around everyone else's schedules. Some people don't have jobs, but some people work third shift, some people work first shift, and it's really hard to figure out when a band practice is conducive to everyone's schedules, and also planning shows, you know? I used to get emails all the time, hey, can Avid play this date? And I would have to send a group chat and say, well, are we all available? And it sucked when 3 people were, but the 4th one wasn't, and so you had to decline it, but what else are you supposed to do, you know? Like, it's never going to work for everyone. In a band, you butt heads a lot. There's a difference between butting heads creatively, like, hey, that doesn't really sound good for this song, or the chorus should be like this. But when you're really butting heads about something important, something that changes the integrity of what the band's about, you know? One day I found out that my guitarist didn't want to be famous, and the rest of us were like, well, what are we doing here? I don't want to stay in Buffalo. I don't want to be just a local band who never gets out of this area. So that kind of changed everything. I couldn't make him change his mind, because if you don't want to be famous, you don't want to be famous. But also, how could he expect to be in the band still when all of us are still striving for that goal of being something more than what we are, when one person is just stuck and says, nope, sorry, not for me. So it's different when you just can't agree on something. And there's a lot of things that you don't agree on. Photo shoots, what to wear for a show, what to put on the album, what design to use. There's so many things that if one person just won't budge, then the whole thing kind of doesn't work. It's definitely hard when you have guys and girls in a band at the same time, because you never really know how relationships are going to form, how everyone's going to interact. For example, I decided one day that I liked my drummer, and I went after him, let him know how I feel, and it didn't work. And then he ended up leaving the band for different reasons, but it was still awkward for a little bit. I mean, now my feelings were out there. I wrote a song about it. It ended up being on the album, and it was kind of weird. My guitarist at one point told me that he loved me after one of our shows, and I couldn't reciprocate. That ended up terribly. Not only was it awkward, he eventually left the band. So definitely be strict about that. Whenever I start a new band now, I have to make it clear that, like, no one can have a relationship with each other, because I definitely want this to work and not to fall apart because of a crush. Even though the pros say that you split everything equally, that doesn't actually happen, because not only is the money not always even, but ticket sales are not always even either. I had a bassist at one point who just didn't want to sell tickets, didn't bother, and here I'm sticking my neck out asking every person that I know, can you please come to the show? And he comes in with his 5 unsold tickets. He's like, yeah, I couldn't, you know, I didn't really try, I couldn't get anyone. That was always so annoying, because I need everyone in the band to want it. Everyone has to be proud enough to get their family and friends to come. I mean, you don't want to just play to an empty audience. Like, that sucks. Social media definitely was never split evenly, and that bugged me so much. We have a Twitter and Instagram, a Facebook. No one wanted to post on anything. It was always me putting up the Facebook event page, booking the shows, selling the tickets, posting a couple of days ahead of time about our show, posting the songs, finding agents to work with, booking studio time, getting the songs written. It was always on me. We had a lot of rotating members because people were starting to lose interest in what Avid was about, and it's hard when you lose interest in a hobby or anything really. It's hard to get that interest back. When a band breaks up, that's crushing. It honestly crushed my soul, because I put so much time and energy and money into that band. So that's why in 2016 I texted Rich and I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna make a solo album. I'm gonna make a solo Facebook page. And I knew that that could crush him, because me making a Lexxi Raine page for myself was kind of the first step of, I'm going to do music without you guys. It's not that I don't want to be a part of you anymore, but now I think I've got to go my own way and try to figure out who I am by myself. Now let's talk about the pros of being a solo musician. I will tell you what, it is a lot easier. You're your own boss, okay? No one's gonna fight you. Sure, you can get opinions from your family and friends, like, hey, should I go with this, or should I do this, or should I make this the design? Do you like this song? Should it go on the album? But for the most part, you're the one calling the shots. You're making all the decisions, and that is a lot easier. You get to make yourself, your image, exactly what you want it to be. I have changed myself a lot over the years. I started off with the red dress, the innocent preppy girl, and then I turned into this like gothic but blonde version of myself, because I was talking about deeper topics, and that was just literally in a 2-year span of me changing my image. But for the band, for 5 years, we stayed the same. You know, we had rotating members, but the design stayed the same, the colors, and we didn't really change. We were always pop punk. Whereas Lexxi Raine by myself, I started off as this more pop punk, innocent, sweet girl who didn't really know what being hurt was about yet, and then I turned into more grungy pop punk, where like it just was grittier. And now for this third album, I'm doing a little bit more of a country twist on it. So it's great to keep evolving. The world is changing, which means music changes and styles change. People like different things at different times. So being able to change so easily is a great thing to be able to do. Unless you have everyone on board in the band, it's much easier to rebrand yourself solo. You get to work around your own schedule. You get to practice in your own time. If it's midnight, if it's 6 in the morning, I can just pick up my guitar or my piano or my ukulele and I can practice an entire set list if I want to do it. I can go live stream whenever I want. I can make videos, I can make podcasts, write whenever I want. That is the beauty of being a solo artist, because you don't have to worry about, okay, well, when is this person going to get here? When are we meeting? Oh, this person canceled this time. You're your own boss, and you get to schedule things around whatever works for you. And I love that aspect of just being alone. There's no drama. Maybe you have a little internal struggle going on inside of your head about, well, what sounds better, what looks better, but there's no outside drama. You're not worried about jealous girlfriends or a band member who just doesn't want to be a part of the band anymore, or some weird love triangle. It's just you. You don't have to worry about fighting with anyone. Also, I love that there's less gear. When I go to a local venue, I bring my acoustic guitar, my microphone, and I just plug right into their PA system. That is a breeze. There's no gear to worry about. Of course, there are cons. You're very lonely. You are doing this all by yourself. You know, you don't really have anyone to bounce ideas off of. You're writing all the songs by yourself. They're not as dynamic as they could have been before. And there are a lot of changes that my producer makes when I go into the studio. Stuff that I wouldn't have thought about because I'm just all alone. And yes, those changes are for the best. And I think that's what I do miss about being in a band. I like being able to have a sounding board for all my new ideas. And I also like sharing the experience with someone. It's a lot of fun working with other people, doing what you love together. You know, there's magic that happens in the room that you don't feel when you're just alone. All the money is on you. I learned that very quickly, how expensive everything actually is, making your own solo album. I made so much merchandise for fun while it lasted. I made a very expensive CD for that. Being a musician isn't cheap in any way. It's definitely not cheap when you're solo. The good thing is sometimes your family helps pitch in even more because they realize that you're alone. It's definitely harder to sell tickets because now it's just you, and a lot of your shows are just acoustic. And honestly, I don't think acoustic shows are as fun when you're solo than maybe an acoustic show with a band or a full band electric performance. I don't push very hard when I play solo shows because I do want people to be there, but it's not how I want to present myself. I really do like being in a full band. I think it's kick-ass. I want to be that Avril Lavigne and the pretty outfit rocking a guitar, you know, and I don't feel that when I'm just playing an acoustic guitar at the bar down the street. It's still great. I'm still playing my music, but it's not as much of an experience. I don't lug my whole merchandise tub down there. I don't do my makeup and hair as much as I would if it was a full band. And I get more nervous by myself. When I'm with a band, we're all nervous together, but also if we make a mistake, maybe you won't hear it as well, or maybe we'll just laugh about it later. Also, for release shows, if you're a solo artist, you gotta figure out who's gonna be your backup band. Thankfully, I'm also in a cover band, so my cover band learned my originals, but if I didn't have them, I'd probably have to find other musicians and pay them, which is okay for every once in a while, but if you have a bunch of shows lined up, it's gonna be hard to convince anyone to play for you for an extended amount of period or time. When I went to England and I was by myself, I had so much fun playing, but it wasn't as fun without a full band, and of course I couldn't ask my full band to come with me. It leaves you saying, you think I'm good now, wait till you hear the rest of it. And I hate walking off stage thinking that if I had a full band next to me, it would be better. There is a lot of stress because it's all on you. I told you how stressed out I was making the Fun While It Lasted album, music video, and release show. You can't really talk about it with anyone else because they don't really get how important it is to you, what it's supposed to be like. Not that it's a big deal, but other people are gonna judge what you put out, and it's a little easier when you have 3 other members, so maybe you can be like, well, it was all of us. We all decided on this. But if you make a bad decision, or if you do something that the world doesn't like, well, then you had the final say, so it was all on you. I just want to add in a little bit about my cover band because I was going to make a whole other video about an original band versus a cover band, and I thought that probably can't fit into a whole video by itself, so I'm just gonna run over a couple of the pros and cons of that too. A lot of people think that being in a cover band is selling out, and that's what I thought too. It's actually a lot easier in some ways. It's easier to get people to come to your shows, to book shows, and to possibly get people interested in you enough to listen to your original music from that. You get judgment from local bands about being being in a cover band. Who cares? You're gonna get judgment no matter what, okay? Someone's always not gonna like you for some reason. I know in Buffalo, the music scene is not very good, and no one comes to original shows. Everyone's too busy with their lives, and I get it, we're all busy, but people just don't want to support local music. So being in a cover band gets people more interested. It's great looking out in the audience and seeing people singing along and jamming out. They know all the lyrics, but it breaks my heart a little bit that they don't know my music like that. It's not the same. It doesn't make me as proud of a musician. You know, I just copied someone else's chords. Maybe we changed it a little bit to make it more of our own, but we're just learning what someone else has already done, and that's kind of a sucky feeling when you think about it. We make more money doing these shows. They're easier to book. Is it worth it to make more money to do something that you're not super passionate about? I know my last drummer, he actually quit our cover band because he said, this is not why I'm a musician, and I had to respect that. I understand. That's not what I want to do either. I just believed it was a stepping stone into what I really wanted to do, which is my original music. And like I said, the cover band helped me out a lot because they play my original music when I need them to. Sucky thing about cover bands is that places pretty much book you for 4-hour sets and you have breaks in between, but still 4 hours is a lot. It's a lot to handle on your voice, loading in early, loading out, and a lot of the times they ask you to bring your own PA system. So sometimes you have to also rent a sound guy for the night. So you guys might be paid $500 for the night for a 4-hour gig, but you're paying every single person a part of that gig that night $100. Is it better than playing a 30-minute set of your originals? I don't know. I like that you don't really have to worry about ticket sales. Most of these places, they book you for the night and they're opening their bar. You know, they're expecting you to bring people in to listen to your music, but also any random person who's walking on the street and hears your band, they can come in and have a few drinks. So I like the fact that I can tell my mom or my friends, hey, we're playing from 6 to 10. Come in whenever you want and have a beer and leave when you want. You know, there's no, you have to be here from 6:30 to 7 p.m. That's when I'm playing. Because sometimes the person comes and it's all shifted around, or it's not that fun because they're only coming for you to play for 30 minutes and then they're out. Like I said, it's easy to get booked, but you're not going to get famous from being a cover band. Covers are what bands usually do once they're already famous. They put out a cover album because they've already made it and people actually like their original music enough to check out what their cover sounds like. I know a very famous local cover band. They play everywhere. They play casinos, parties, they get booked out of state. So yeah, maybe you won't make it famous, but you could get really locally big, and that's almost just as good, you know? I mean, then you still have your life, your family, your day job, but then you get to play on the weekend and people actually know who you are, and it's just really cool. Unfortunately, my cover band has not reached that level yet, and I won't because I won't be in the area much longer. Being in a cover band is also hard because you all have to have the same version of what you want to be. What kind of style do you want to cover? What decades? You know, what do you want to present to the audience? And when someone's stuck in the 90s while you want to do the current top 40, that's really hard because someone's going to have to cave or someone's going to have to leave. And you're not going to be a successful cover band only playing what you want to hear because you're not opening it up for all ages, all genres. It's really hard to get on the same page. It's really fun when you do though, or when you do play something you weren't expecting and you nail it. You know, there have been a lot of songs with this cover band that I'm in that I would never have played by myself, but now I really like them and I've even incorporated them into my own set list. My final and biggest con for being in a cover band is you have to be perfect. You have to nail these iconic songs and these moments that people really do know by heart. If you want my personal opinion about what is easier, I think it's being a solo musician. It might hit your pockets a little bit more, but it's easier to practice and be perfect and know that if you made a mistake, you need to try harder. What I've learned is that you can't be responsible for other people, okay? They're gonna do what they wanna do, and if something's not as important to them, like being perfect on stage, you're not gonna fix that. But you can control what you do, how much you practice, and what you put out. You get things done a lot quicker. But what do I like more? I like being in a band. Please let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me in the comments. Tell me what you like better because I see a lot of your videos. I see a lot of you solo musicians out there. I would love to know if you guys had the same issues in a band. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope this was another fun video. I hope you learned a little bit more about my life as a musician. I will see you guys next week on another episode of Nope, Still Not Famous. So you guys have a great weekend.
Like asbestos in my lungs, and every time you leaned in for a kiss, I felt the poison set onto my lips.